Okay. I'm Valerie Steele, and this is Olivier Rousteing from Balmain. We'll just be in conversation, and then afterwards, we have the opportunity for you to ask questions. So I'm going to start with the first question, which is, what was your childhood like?
Oh, wow. I think it's the most complex question I ever had for an interview. Thinking of Rihanna, actually. I think my childhood was pretty special. I grew up in Bordeaux, in the south of France. I come from an orphanage, and I had an incredible family that adopted me at the age of around 2 years old. My parents taught me so much values and incredible values, but definitely not fashion, because they were really not into fashion, they were more into science. But they taught me to believe in my dreams, whatever they were, you know, and let me be free of who I want to be. So I grew up in Bordeaux. My dream was to be a lawyer. And so, obviously, it's really different than what I am now.
My father wanted me to be a lawyer, too.
Sure, right? And I went to college, to high school, and at one point I was like, I just want to do my passion as my work, you know. So that's what I did.
You went to Italy to start working in fashion at 17?
Correct. I think around 17, almost 18, I moved to Italy because I wanted to work. But I did a fashion school before.
So when did you first realize that you were interested in fashion? And how did that manifest itself?
I think I always knew it.
Yeah.
The thing is that I think it's not about when do you really realize, because I think when you have a passion in your heart, you know from the beginning. It's just that you need to understand, do you want to do it? Do you feel strong enough to feel that your passion can become your work? When I was a kid, I was dreaming superheroes in my room, and I was like 3, 4, 5 years old until like maybe 13 years old. I was sketching. I never realized that actually I was not sketching only superheroes. I was basically sketching fashion. And my mom one day, she told me, you always love sketching. And I was like, yeah, it's true, but you always love fashion without knowing.
So fascinating. It's really amazing. I remember when my son was little, I brought him into a classroom and I said, you can talk to the students about superhero costumes. And he lectured to them, and he'd say, next slide, and he'd talk about what they were wearing.
Oh yeah, it's true. Like, look, there is another superhero here, I can see.
So, how did you become creative director of Balmain? It was 2011, you were 24 years old?
Correct.
So, how did it lead up to that? This is so amazing. I mean, you were so young to get such a big position.
I sent my portfolio. At that time, I was working at Cavalli, and I was like around 22 or 23. I sent my portfolio to Christophe de Carnin, which was the creative director in 2010 at Balmain, and I became his right hand. And he liked my work, and for 2 years, I was his right hand, managing the studio. And after 2 years, he left, and my shareholder, my president, was like, oh, this guy has something. And I was like, me? And he was like, yes, you can create collections. We love your work, we love your style, we love what you do. And so I became creative director at the age of 24.
That is so incredible. What an amazing story. Talk to us about how your career has evolved since then. You had this, because you've been now in this position for 11 years, which is really incredible, because now you see them, they come and go so fast. How did it evolve for you?
So now it's 15 years.
15 years, exactly.
Imagine. This is the most interesting question, because I'm almost in my 40s, it's been 15 years now, and obviously the one that I was when I created this H&M collection and the one that I am today is obviously different. Different doesn't mean that you are changing completely, because you stick to your DNA, but you just evolve. So I would say that my first years at Balmain, I was trying to be the best student. My only fear was, imagine if a heel break on the catwalk, or if a model is not coming and I'm losing an outfit. So I think that was more, like the beginning was more like being the perfect student. And after you realize that there is no school that teaches you how to become a creative director. You can be the best designer. You can know how to work on the toile, being pattern maker. You can be a really great modelist. Like you can having a really sense of architecture and color. But really, the hardest part of this job is to become a creative director, because you understand that your clothes are actually creating a world. And what is the world that you want to talk about? What is the message behind? So let's say that I'm started like trying to be the best student. And after a couple of years, I decided to become a creative director, which means like, what is the message? What is the topic? What is the strength that I have that is going to resonate and being different in fashion? And after a couple of years, I realized what was my message. My message was in me, but I was not ready to talk about. Obviously, in 2011, I was the first black designer in a French fashion luxury house. And I knew that I wanted to push diversity, inclusivity, talking about pop culture, because I was 24. And so obviously, like, everybody was like, everything what is cool in fashion is what is vintage. And I was like, I just want to be the witness of my time. I want to talk about what I love right now. And I started to evolve, and one woman that inspired me a lot was Rihanna. She told me, be yourself, because you will never regret. And so at this point, we built the Balmain army, which was like incredible people that actually were fighting to be free, to be who they want to be.
Yes.
And that's how everything started.
Yes, the Balmain army was a really, really brilliant concept that you attracted so many young people who identified with you and with the message you were projecting. And it was such an inclusive and powerful look that I think that was a crucial turning point probably for you, that concept.
It was, because what I think was really hard for me, and you are all really young, and bravo to you, but when I was young, it was not the same world than today. When I was young, like, fashion industry was teaching you to almost being older, because it was like, you should love the 80s, you should love the 70s, don't talk about 2010, 2020. Like, it was really like a moment of my career where I was just like, I want to talk about what is now.
Yes.
And what is now means talking about social media, talking about what's happening around the world. And I think my fashion for me was like bringing messages that are deeper than just throwing fashion shows every 6 months.
Yes, and I mean, I remember in one interview you talked about how when you were first appointed, there was also, so much old school racism in the industry that people were like, how can a black person be in charge of a French fashion house? So much kind of xenophobia.
So true. I mean, if you start to look at the shows, I would say, even 15 years ago, you will see the difference between now and before. And what is strong with fashion is that fashion forgets really fast everything.
Yeah.
But if you look at Vogue Runways, all those incredible websites, you will understand that 20 years ago, there is not so much inclusivity and diversity. Like, I remember when it was my first show and I came out, there was a sense of loneliness. And I'm talking about 2011, so imagine if you go even deeper into this story. So I'm just telling you, like, from 2011 till now, it's all about fighting to make a better world and making sure that the world that I went through, you're not going to go through.
Talk to us about the kind of people who were your inspirations and your muses, as it were.
I always been inspired by music, because to me music, it's democratizing, and it's about like listening people, what they need, what they want, their feeling and their emotions. Obviously Beyonce has always been part of my inspiration. I would say the top model from the 90s, when I did a campaign with Cindy Crawford, Claudia Schiffer, and Naomi, like, they inspired me so much. So many incredible women. Kim, I remember my first Met Gala with her. She was so scared because she was like, do you think fashion's gonna love me one day? And I say, you're gonna be part of the books. And that's what happened. So I love women when they have strength and they're kind of creating a revolution more than an evolution. Rihanna in 2013 when we did our campaign, and I remember, like, if you look at some articles, some reviews, or they were asking me, is hip-hop gonna be part of luxury one day? Those questions were before. Today you're not gonna have those questions. But to tell you this story is not to just feel old and explain you what was before, but just to tell you like what we went through to make sure that today everything is normal.
Well, you were talking before about the differences between being a designer and being a creative director. And I wonder, how do you balance those two halves of what you're doing?
This is the hardest question because a designer, you sketch and it's all about the perfection that you show to the world, your own perfection. Being a creative director is bringing messages, authenticity, and beyond the clothes and the accessories that you put on the runway, it's all about creating a world, a lifestyle with strong messages. When you're a creative director, you need to face the criticism. And now I could say the haters, your followers. It's a long shot, but it's an interesting one because whatever you do in your life and whatever choice you make, you need to face criticism always, and it can hurt so much.
Talk about social media, because you've been really, really brilliant and so in advance of most designers in using social media to spread your message. How did that happen? Was that just a function of being a young person for whom social media was a natural form of communication?
It was definitely natural. And at that time, I remember like many people from my team, like PRs, like whoever, they were like, social media is not luxury. And my question was like, if you remember the 90s, 60s, 70s, like all the books that we're gonna read, it was all about like going to a store and buying in the store. And I say, look, when happened internet, people were like, oh my God, is it internet luxury? And your e-com is usually your biggest store right now online. So I'm like, social media is gonna be the best way to communicate. But at that time, I remember people were scared because it was about democratizing fashion. And when you start to democratize fashion, you need to be ready to listen to youth and new generation telling you what's right and what's wrong. Fashion was really scared. So I started my social media really naturally and organically until that it became a success. And at this point, it was not anymore a question.
It's really fascinating because a lot of people seem to act as though luxury is just fashion for the few. And you were saying, no, fashion can be for anyone. Fashion is not just about expensive clothes. It's not just about clothes at all.
Absolutely. Fashion, luxury, let's say, it's obviously a high price point. Not everybody can have access. But there is one thing that I would always disagree, is when fashion doesn't allow you to dream. Because the beauty of fashion is to let anyone dream, and anyone being part of a community that you want to build. And that was my goal. One of my favorite moments was my H&M collaboration, for one reason, because I was creating collection that was obviously really expensive because it's like high fashion. But when I created H&M, I was like, oh wow, so people actually are excited about Balmain. And at that time, I was not even 30. We are creating festivals, stadium, where people could see my fashion and one day can afford it. But with H&M, everybody could afford it. And that was like a moment of my life where I was really, really proud.
You've done a lot of exciting ways of presenting fashion. I remember there was something just a couple of years ago with the boat down the Seine. Can you tell them about that in case they don't remember that one? It was another way of bringing fashion outside of the little box of a few people.
The boat was when there was COVID happen in the world, and I was like, I think no one could actually be in a room. So I was like, I just want to give some love to my city, which is Paris. So we took a boat and we brought like the incredible model. They were walking, showing the story of the house from 1945 till all my own collections. I wanted to share love. I wanted to share my own passion, and people were like clapping in the streets when no one could be in the same room like right now, but people could actually join each other and celebrating a fashion moment, which was beautiful. It was really a moment of, I was like, I want to spread love.
Back in 2020, we had those conversations. Your people approached me. We could have conversations about Balmain, the house of Balmain, Pierre Balmain, and what your feelings were about that. And you had such awareness and such interest in this person from so long ago who had founded the house. Could you talk to them a little bit about that? Because on the one hand, you were not about like, oh, fashion from the past. But on the other hand, you really were fascinated by the heritage of this house and the way he had created it.
I've always been in love with history and with the past. Because to create a better future, you need to understand your past, make into the present, to change the future. You cannot change the future if you don't have the knowledge of the past. And the House of Balmain is one of an incredible story that few people knows, but the house has been built in 1945, right after the Second War, with nothing in Paris. You don't have fabric, you don't have leather, you cannot even do a pair of shoes. But Pierre Balmain was so brave and resilient and audacious to make sure that he wanted to create his own brand. Way before some other really famous brand, actually. And what I love about Mr. Pierre Balmain is when I saw the silhouette that he created for women right after the Second War. So there was the tension between the couture that Paris was known for, and at the same time, the really casual pieces that he could create for women that goes to work right after the Second War. So if I look at the archive, I was really obsessed and in love with all what he has done. And I start to be inspired so much about the history of the house. Again, because when you live a world with uncertainty, everybody is more reassured with the past. So I think the strength that you can have is when you understand the past, still being the witness of your time, and create that balance between those two topics and making sure that you're building the future.
Well, when we had those conversations, I myself did a lot of research into Balmain's life and work, because I didn't really know that much about it. You'd hear about a few other designers, you'd hear about Dior and Balenciaga, and I was fascinated that he was friends with Gertrude Stein and invited her to his first fashion show, and she brought her dog Basket, and then, you know, the clothes that he was showing there. What was the style called that he was creating? It was the new French style. Yes.
I think there is really a common point with me, between me and Mr. Pierre Balmain. He was obsessed with America. He loved America. You know, Paris is really tough. France is really tough. And sometimes you need to leave your own country to come back and being more loved. Pierre Balmain understood that because he was trying to break boundaries in a country and in a city where he was feeling that sometimes he was too conservative. So he went to America with his friend Gertrude Stein and spread his word, which was the new French style. So when he came back to Paris, after being so much loved by America, France started to love him.
Yes.
But he was just like, I did that before here, and no one wanted to see me doing it. And another thing that I love about Mr. Pierre Balmain, in the 1950s, for who is really curious about it, if you look on YouTube or whatever, he was speaking fluently English in 1950s because he was in love of globality, internationality. He wanted to make sure that Pierre Balmain would resonate to the world. And he knew that his French style would never happen without being loved by the world outside of Paris.
I don't want to be traumatic, but I know people will wonder, how do you deal with the difficulties and traumas that you face over the course of your life? For everybody faces difficulties, but how have you overcome them?
It's like my shrink now.
Sorry, it's my psychoanalytic show.
I think all of us in this room going through trauma and tough moments in your life. There is no life without obstacle. There is no life without moments that you're down, you know. You just need to make sure that every time it's happening something really hard in your life, you get stronger and it becomes your strength. I'm giving you a couple of examples. I come from an orphanage, and I don't know where I come from. I didn't know where I come from until a couple of years ago. But this idea of like not knowing where I came from made me want to be loved by everyone, because I didn't have the love of my own mother and my own dad, because I didn't know them, my biological parents. So I think that can be seen as a weakness became my strength. I was like, I just want to be loved by the world, and I just want to spread my love to the world. A couple of years ago, I got a really sad accident, and I got fully burned, like fully burned. And I was scared because, you know, when you work in fashion, it's all about this kind of perfection, that kind of cliche. But I realized a day after, like a couple of days after actually, that I was not living, I was surviving. Because sometimes fashion, you realize that you are like in that train that goes really fast, and you don't take time for yourself to really realize that you're a lucky person and that you should have a smile every day on your face. And you know, when you get through whatever traumas, you just make them become your, not anymore your enemy, but your strength. And you're like, actually, if it happened that to me, it's for a reason. And I believe that all of you in this room, you went through so much. Make sure that whatever you went through, you take it, you smile at it, and you're like, okay, I'm going to be a better version of myself now. And nothing's going to put me down. Actually, everything that tried to put me down is going to make you stronger.
It's very much like Nietzsche, yes. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Correct.
You made that wonderful movie, Wonder Boy, about searching for your parents. How did that come about? I mean, that's such a powerful story that you found out who they were, and they were just kids, really.
Yeah.
Really children.
It was, so when I started my documentary on Netflix, Wonder Boy, it was not about my origins or my story. It was about following me during my fashion season at Balmain, like 8 shows a year. But the producer told me, and what about if you look for your origins? And I'm gonna be really transparent with you. I was not ready for it. But I was like, I wanna do it. Because if I have the chance to actually find my origins, going through a lot of emotions, and sharing with the world, it can help the next generation to think, okay, if he made it, I can do it. That's the reason why I did Wonder Boy. Yeah. But I didn't even know, I knew the beginning, but I would never know the end.
Yes.
I discovered my mother, she was really young. She was 13 years old when she got pregnant, and 14 when she actually had that baby, which was me. In the circumstances that were, I'm sure, really awful for her. But again, that weakness makes you stronger, which I said, when I discovered it, I was like, I opened the files where she wrote what she wanted to write about the baby that was me, and she said, I completely doesn't want to know this baby. Mm. And I was expecting to open a file and reading my mother, and actually I just read a letter of a child, yeah. Basically. And after, when you were asking me, you know, like my origins and everything, I think all what I have done was to kind of be recognized by her, yeah. That she would be proud. Today I don't know her. She maybe knows me, but she doesn't want to meet me. But again, as you say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And Wonder Boy is a story of someone that has success, that goes through a lot, but still stands up.
Your previous show, the last show that you just did, I thought was really outstanding. It was very, very beautiful and somehow different than the things that you've been doing more recently. And I wonder, do you feel, what do you think is the direction that you're going in now? Or do you think that was symptomatic of something that you're experimenting with now? It seemed that it was such a gentle show.
I think I told you about my Balmain army, and
yes.
all my girls, they had an armor.
Yes, yes.
I think, you know, with time, maybe I've softened a bit. Mm-hmm. I get more confidence. Maybe I'm less into a fight. Maybe what would people say, Balmain is really loud. Maybe now he's less loud. I don't know. I think it's 15 years, you know, and in 15 years of career, you change. You still keep your DNA, but it's just different because I started at 24 and I'm almost 40 now, so obviously I'm changing, but I still keep my vision, which is confidence, resilience. Yes. The last show was a strong woman, yeah, but maybe a different one than maybe yes. 4 years ago, because I'm a different person as well than 4 years ago. And I think that's really important to mention to all of you, because whatever you love fashion, but what you love today might be different in 10 years, because this is part of humans. You're changing, but you will always keep your DNA because this is who you are, and that's what makes you special and unique.
Is there anything you feel you're proudest of in life or in work?
I think if there's one thing that makes me proud, it's to have the chance to be in front of you and telling my story. Because for some reason, I think the most beautiful thing that can happen in life, it's to pass a message through generations. I'm proud of that. Because if you ask my young self at your own age, I'm not sure that this young self would say, I will be in front of you today. So what I wish for you, to all of you, is to have that chance to have a message that resonates for the world and to make sure that you, in your own way, can shape the world. When I was 15 years old, I didn't have an example of a black designer in French luxury industry, right? And so I was like, can I dream about it? Can I become that person? Whatever people like or not my aesthetic, this is totally fine. I have so many people that just say, do we like Balmain? Do we like Balmain? That's normal, right? But there is one thing that I'm proud is that all my fights that weren't easy, when I was in silence, when people didn't want to let me talk. So I think if there is one thing that I'm proud is to spread a message today that a couple of years ago, maybe I couldn't because people didn't want to hear that message. But this message is not for me. It's for you, and even not only for you, for the generation after you. So that's what I'm proud of.
I'm going to throw it open to questions from the audience. We have a couple of, where are they, Tanya, the microphones? Sorry, where are the mics?
Oh my God, I didn't realize there's even more people there.
Hello?
Oh, here.
Sorry guys, I was actually turning my back. That's a bit rude, I'm sorry.
So there's one microphone here, there's one microphone there, and there's a microphone there. And we ask you that you use the mic to ask any questions, because that way it gets recorded, and also that way Olivier and Valerie can hear your question.
And so if you can line up in front of the microphones if you have a question, and please do have it be a question, not a very long statement. Why don't we start with you, dear, in the white top?
Hi, I just want to say thank you so much for coming to speak with us. You are incredible. I'm studying production management, so my journey will look a little different than yours. But you mentioned moving to Italy when you were so young. Do you think it's necessary to kind of take that jump, step out of our comfort zone, and just take the leap of faith to step into the roles and careers that we want down the line?
so sorry, I couldn't hear because there was movement. Can you repeat the question? I'm so sorry.
I just wanted to ask, do you think it's necessary to kind of take that jump and step out of our comfort zone to work the careers that we want to?
Like going all the way to Italy when you were so young. She gave us an example.
I think everybody is different. But whatever you do, do it with your instinct. Because you will never regret what you do with your instinct. You can regret when you start to listen too much your brain but not your heart. Because your heart is always right. And when you make a mistake, you're not even disappointed because you say, oh, I did it and I did my maximum. I don't think my journey should be the same for others because we're all, again, different. But whatever you feel in your heart, and even if it's something that is different what people tells you, if you feel this is the right path, just do it. Don't hesitate. Because you might have more regrets if you don't do it.
Thank you.
Is there someone else up here also? It's hard to see. Another line up here? How do you, what advice would you offer to someone who is discouraged at the slow pace of inclusion and diversity in the fashion world? You always advocated for more diversity, but it's happening so slowly in the fashion world. A lot of young people are discouraged that it's not moving faster, or in the US seems to be going backwards.
That's such a good question. In all our dreams, everything needs to go fast. But if there is one thing that I learned with life, it's patience. You need to be patient. And I can tell you from a fact, all those fights that we are doing, that you are doing, that I'm doing, that we're all doing here, you need to be patient. But it's gonna happen because the strength of love is more and is more important than the strength of hate. I can tell you from a fact. Love always wins. Inclusivity will win. It's really slow, and unfortunately sometimes it goes backward, but I can tell you it will move forward because we always win when there is love. And I can tell you from a fact, keep pushing, I'm pushing, we're gonna all push together. And that's the reason why we are in this room, to build a community of people that believe in the same world, and we're all here to shape this world. And we're gonna go against people that wants to go against us.
Thank you. Here on the right.
Hi, nice to meet you. My name is Joshua. What advice would you have for small creative or designers with little connection to reach the level of couture and fashion?
I'm going to say the thing that everybody's going to think I'm really cliche, but I'm telling you, just be you. And in the world where we are, and you were mentioning, it's a tough word. It's a really tough world. But just be you means being you and being unique. The moment that you feel that you can express your message that is different from the others, and you are different from everyone here, express it. And I know that it sounds cliche, but it's not an easy thing, because the world sometimes pushes you to be influenced by things that you see around, you know. And with social media, every morning you wake up and you think, oh, I should do this, I should do that, I should do this, I should do that. But the moment that you find your own soul and who you really are, truly are, you're going to show the fact that you're really unique. And for couture, like you were mentioning law, you can mentioning whatever you want, but the thing is, when you're you and you find the right message, spread it. And there will always be someone to discover you and to love you. Like, we have these pictures of Rihanna. I'm gonna tell you a story, a funny one, really a funny one. And please know that this is a true story. How did I know her? I never met her when I started in 2011. Balmain was really small. Like, it was not as big as today. And she saw on my Instagram what I was doing. She DM'd me and she was like, oh, I would love to meet you in Paris. She came to my office and I had my clothes in the office. And if one day she will be in front of you, she will tell you that story because it was really what happened. I was like, Rihanna texted me, DM me. You know, I was like, this is crazy. She's like, I love your style. I want to meet you. That's how we started our relationship, because she saw a style that she liked and she's like, I want to dress in what you do, you know. I met her and she started to dress Balmain in the fitting room. I had a couple of samples, and a couple of months after, I texted her, I'm like, I had a dream. I would love that you're doing my campaign. And at that time, I remember she was in Australia for the Diamond Store, and she's like, let's do it. So what I'm trying to tell you is that before Balmain, of course, I had to fight to be at the Balmain, to be Balmain creative director, because I worked really hard. When I was at Balmain, I had my own style, and she came and she's like, I like your style. So 3 topics. Hard work. You have to work so hard, because nothing happens with no working. Like, let's be clear. You have to work. Second topic, be yourself and have a message that is yours. Third, things gonna arrive without that you know.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is, oh wait.
Hi, my name is Shelly, and I'm a cosmetics marketing student. My question is, what do you think that you want to represent with Balmain beauty that is harder to represent with the fashion?
Is there a Balmain beauty team there that asked me this question? It's one of the most exciting chapter at Balmain for me, Balmain beauty, for 2 reasons. One, because I love beauty, and I'm the first one to love makeup, fragrance for myself. And the second thing is that it's the best way to express a word when you cannot afford high fashion. What I want to do with Balmain Beauty is to really spread the codes of Balmain, which obviously we spoke about inclusivity. But it's not only about the makeup and for different skin tones. I think inclusivity is as well about the fragrance, because what I love about, like, I started with fragrance, and we start from really high luxe. In a couple of months, you will see what's happening. But it's really like sharing different emotions. When you smell a fragrance, there is an emotion. And to me, when you have done the jacket that you wear now, the t-shirt, the pants, the shoes, the bag, what's going to be the last touch? Like your fragrance. And the second one is going to be, the last one will be your makeup. And I think this is really interesting for me to create something that is not always visible, like the fragrance, and I loved it. I went back to school. Like 4 years ago, I went back to school in Paris to learn how to create a fragrance. So imagine people looking at me, it's like, what are you doing at school? And I'm like, listen, I need to learn. I know how to create a jacket, but I really don't know how to create a fragrance. So to talk about fragrance, I need to know the ingredients. And the students were really kind with me because they really helped me a lot. But what I love about Balmain Beauty, it's obviously creating the extension of the Balmain world, which is about the emotion, about inclusivity, and making sure that everybody can have access to Balmain just in a different way than they used to.
Hi, Olivier. I'm Sir Lassiter, advertising and marketing student here at MFIT. I noticed and love your incorporation of ethnicity and culture in your work, and I want to know how you find it kind of cross-pollinating that with the house's history, the French style, and kind of any backlash you may get from including ethnicity and heritage in your work.
Can you repeat, sir, because there was some noise.
I noticed and love your ethnic and nationality that you include into your work, and I kind of want to know, how do you find it cross-pollinating that with the house's history, the French style, and any backlash you may have faced?
So first of all, if we know the history of Balmain, which is not something easy to know, Pierre Balmain was dressing incredible women, from Dalida, Brigitte Bardot, the Princess of Thailand, Audrey Hepburn, Josephine Baker. So he already built his Balmain army on his own, you know. So in the past, he was really into those strong women that were coming from different backgrounds. I did the same with obviously being the witness of my time. It wasn't easy, as I told you before, but to me, this is France. The mood board that people love to say France is just Saint-Tropez with that kind of like cliche, this is not true. This is not Paris. Like, I invite you to come to Paris and to France. You will see that there's so much inclusivity in the streets of Paris. Paris is not just a pair of jeans with a button shirt in Saint-Tropez. Like, and this is what I was really, I think that was the most hurtful. And I think your question is so amazing, because I realized that becoming a creative director in Paris, there's that kind of like book that you have to follow, where you're just like, this is the book that you want me to read, not actually you ask me to rewrite again the same book, when this is not the book that I want to write. And that was when I was telling you Rihanna in my campaign. To me, she was my Brigitte Bardot. To me, she was my Jane Birkin. And this is your question is so important. France is not what fashion teach you to be. France is what your eyes tell you that it is. I'm French. My passport in French. And maybe I'm not the French that fashion wanted to see 15 years ago, but this is France. And I'm proud to say I'm French. And so that's what I keep saying. There is not one definition of a country. There is one definition of style. There is not. You're defining what is your definition. And your definition is going to be part of the country that you are in. So fight for it, and we will all fight together.
Thank you.
Excuse me, sorry. We have a line over here, and we've been skipped twice. I'm sorry.
Oh, sweetheart, I'm so
Yeah.
sorry.
No, it's all right.
A third, please jump in.
I asked the questions about internships. Like, what kind of internships would you recommend to become a creative director, since there's like no real internship to become one? Like, what are some steps you would recommend?
What internships?
What do you mean?
An internship if you hope to become a creative director. That's not a normal internship.
Yeah.
I mean, I started and I was doing photocopies and bringing coffees. I can tell you, but I'm telling you, every coffees that you do, you just check all around what's happening. Every photocopies that you go to the printer, make sure that you check all the sketches. I'm telling you, I learned like this. Like, I mean, my first internship, I mean, I knew how to sketch. I knew how to create a toile. Like, I was like really good at, I mean, as a pattern maker, everything. But obviously, when you do an internship, sometimes they don't give you your favorite thing to do. So you do what you have to do, but you just keep your eyes open, because you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. Because sometimes, you know, the right hand, the assistant's going to be sick. So you're going to be like, okay, I was bringing you coffee, but, you know, for some reason, I know how to sketch. And I'm going to show you how to sketch. I can tell you, when I was like 18, and I'm really good at sketching, but they didn't let me sketch. Someone was sick. And I remember it was at that time when Christina Aguilera was in a concert. And she asked some looks, and no one could sketch it. And obviously me, I knew Jenny in a Bottle, I knew all of that thing, you know, so I was like, I know her style so well. I stayed in the office until so late, and I was sketching, until the point that a designer, head of design, he saw my sketch, he's like, oh, but you know how to sketch? I'm like, of course I know. I mean, I show you my portfolio, and no one wanted to remember. And I start sketching and sketching. From this moment, I kept sketching. It's not going to happen to everyone, but whatever internship you get, if you like the house, if you like the vision, go there. Like, we never had always the best internship in the world. Never. And sometimes you're going to be in marketing to work with the studio. Sometimes you're going to be in beauty to actually work in fashion. It depends of if you're excited about the internship that you're going to have. And if you're not even excited, but you are excited about the house, it's already like one step into the house that you are in love with. So I would advise you that it's hard, but still don't, how can I say, be surprised by life. And you never get, and I'm telling you to all of you guys, you never get the best internship at the beginning. Never. It's really rare.
Thank you.
And since we skipped that line before, let's do another two
Sorry,
from
we
that
skipped that line.
before
I
we
was
go ahead.
telling you that was another part here.
Hi, I wanted to ask how you grow self-confidence because when you mentioned how hard it is to deal with criticism, I was wondering how do you deal with it and gain resilience and confidence in your own abilities?
That's a good question when I have this picture behind me, because this kid was not as confident as I am now, I'm telling you. Listen, I think more successful you get, tougher the people's gonna be with you. Less successful you are, more people loves you for some reason, because they're like, oh, okay, he's so cute, oh, he's so kind, you know. When you start to be really successful, when you get to the top part, people loves you to see you going down. Like really, this is the trick of fashion. And people is bored really fast, right? Because, oh, he was so hype, but right now I'm so bored of what he does. I have heard it 100 times. There's one thing that I love about fashion. When I was younger, I just wanted to be so cool. Getting older, I just want to be timeless. Because I'm telling you, if there's one thing that people cannot tell you going against you, is that you go through centuries, decades, whatever. And why I'm telling you that? Because hype is a thing that cannot happen forever. That's the concept of hype. And so when you're hype for a year, like when I started Balmain, and so it's not about Balmain, it's fashion, people were hype for maybe 2 or 3 years. Now it's like 6 months, a year max. And I learned that, I'm like, oh my God, I prefer to create products that actually people would remember forever than just being the cool kid on the block. You know, this I don't want to be, because I know that it's going to be over soon. Your question was really important, how you face criticism. It's not about self-confidence, it's about wisdom. Because I'm not such a super confident person, to be honest. I'm resilient, I'm definitely someone that has strength, but I'm really shy. You know, I'm telling you, like, I know it doesn't seem to be, but I am. But what I love the most is actually find my own peace with myself. So I'm doing a lot of question for you, answer for you. I do a lot of meditation, I'm telling you, because when you wake up in the morning on your social media and someone hates you so bad that you write something like awful, you just like, what my teacher tells me, inhale, exhale, breathe. Look at this beautiful lake in front of you. Because, you know, there is one thing that I learned. Sometimes you don't want to answer to all the people loves you, but when someone hates you, you just want to reply to him and just say, why did you hate me, you know? I learned so much to not answer to that. I'm keeping calm. Because, listen, you're not going to please to everybody. And that's what we learn. And with success, again, you're going to really, people's going to really hate you at one point. You know, this is the truth. But listen, just love yourself and just feel proud of what you do. And the moment that you start to have a lot of criticism, this is what we call success. This is the price to pay.
Thank you.
That was such a tough question.
We'll do one more up here,
Okay.
and then we'll go to the other side.
Okay. Okay. Hi, my name is Michelle. It's nice to meet you. My question is, you talk a lot about dreaming and having the confidence to chase that dream. But I want to ask you what or who gave you the permission to dream and chase it down until it was reality?
That's really like best question ever. Only you. Or maybe your family. But I think it's your own permission. No one can take you that away from you. You're born to dream. And whoever push you down and stop your dream is the wrong person in your life. People can tell you be more rational. Yeah. But no one can stop you to dream. This is impossible. Because stopping someone to dream is asking this person to not be alive for some reason. Because we are all alive to dream. We are all alive to be free and just to decide who we want to be. The first person that gives you that permission is yourself. And to be honest, I think sometimes in this world, we don't allow ourselves to dream because we are scared of the risk that we take. Sometimes it's easier to stop dreaming because you're like, maybe I'm going to burn my own wings, you know, so I stop dreaming. But there is nothing more beautiful in life than dreaming and flying with your wings. So I would say the first one to permit you to dream is yourself, and the second people that needs to join you in that dream is your family.
All right, thank you.
Hi, I just want to say I'm Sydney Marin. I study fashion design here at FIT, and you were the designer that got me into designing, so it's such a surreal moment to be in front of you today. And I recently studied abroad, and I realized that my heart and soul is in fashion overseas. Do you have any advice for somebody, an American unfortunately, trying to break into the couture space internationally?
Wow.
Yeah.
When did you start the school?
Here?
Yeah.
This is my senior year now.
So what means?
Fourth.
It's your final year, right?
Yeah.
Again, I think it's gonna be exactly again who you are, and it's gonna be how much your passion is gonna be strong enough to actually shine beyond everything. If I ask you a question, what is your dream?
That's a loaded question.
Listen, that's the question that you give me today.
You know what? A lot of people want to work for themselves, but I think every day waking up and just being happy is to be my dream. And if, like you said, your dream changes over time, but right now mine's to move, to have a great adventure and hopefully do fashion and couture house and get my hands dirty in the fabric.
So, exactly. I think work really hard. And again, I'm really mentioning that because there is no success with not working hard. Trust yourself. I have made a couple of mistakes in my career, trusting sometimes more people around me than myself. If you have something in you, like you believe in your vision, your aesthetic, just push it. If you want to move, move. If you want to actually stay, stay. You know, like this is what you feel in your own, it's your heart, it's your own brain as well, it's your own emotions. But working hard is the most important, and follow your own dreams. You say something really important again, is like waking up every morning and being happy. What makes you happy? And that's why I was asking you this question, because it's not an easy question, and it's definitely not an easy answer to say, what makes me happy? What makes you happy? We all know what makes us unhappy. This is the best thing to know, but it's always hard to wake up in the morning and say, oh, I know what makes me happy. So if what makes you happy, it's to work in fashion, to be international, to move from America, or to stay in America, you have to decide. But you have to take time to breathe again and say, okay, I want to create this collection and I want to be in France, I want to be in Italy, I want to be in London, I want to do more sportswear, I want to do more couture. You need to sit in front of a mirror, being yourself and say, okay, this is who I am actually. This is exactly what I need to do. And you have your own answer. I don't have for you. But my only answer for you is like, take the time to really understand what exactly you want. And don't get influenced by anyone, just yourself.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Hi, my name's Anushka. I'm doing fashion business management, and in business, it's all about running the business, recovering from setbacks, and like creating lessons and really seeing what you can do. So I know a very unfortunate moment happened in your spring-summer collection in 2024, when unfortunately it got vandalized and all of the collection got ruined. What kind of lessons did you learn? Because I know you also talk about perseverance and learning through things and like trying to recover, but I know it must have been such a huge setback mentally and everything because you had such little time to recover the entire collection or as much as you could have.
I mean, time is not the best friend of fashion, obviously, as I'm sure you all know, because everything goes fast. You said that you were working in fashion business?
Management, business management.
This is an interesting category, I can tell you, because there is no fashion without business, there is no business without fashion, in a sense, sorry. There is no creativity without business, there is no business without creativity. And this is going to be an interesting really topic because you need to make align everything, right? And there are some creative directors and designers that really don't want to hear about business. I'm more in the crowd that I love business because I know that without business I could not do creativity. I could not express myself. I can tell you, like, again, keep working hard and being patient because this is the most important. Fashion goes really fast, but being smart enough to understand the future and faster than anyone. And again, don't be sad, like there is a lot of mistakes happen, like you're gonna fail one day, you're gonna stand up the other day. But definitely business is a key for fashion, and be smart enough to understand the business before than anyone understand it. That's gonna be your key and your strength.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Regina, and I am in fashion design. And first of all, it's wonderful to meet you. I'm starstruck.
My pleasure.
As a designer at such a big house, you're expected to consistently and constantly produce multiple designs, looks, collections, all throughout the year. How do you keep up with your expectations while continuing to be creative and believing that you are making designs that are you and your best quality and you're putting your best foot forward consistently?
Having a great team around me, because it's important. Like, we always speak about the creative director, but we need to talk about the incredible team that surrounds you. You are no one without great people around you. So you're so right, you know, like fashion goes fast and there is a lot to do, but I mean, it's my passion. Like, if I don't have so many collections, I would be bored. There's different school of designers. Some people would say, I want to do one collection a year. There are some others that say, I want to do more. I'm more into the school of like, I love to do more, because I mean, I wake up every morning with a different idea. After, you just need to have the team to follow up and just say, can we make it? But I would say, I never bored. And I think when it's your passion, you always want to write and to sketch a new sketch and a new book. This is what I feel. Like when, I mean, I think my PR is not in the room, and I don't see her anymore. And so I'm gonna, I forget that she's here. When I create a fashion show or collection, after a couple of weeks, I'm already on the other. So basically what you're gonna see in September, 1st of October, my show, I'm already thinking of my other show in March. And that's the beauty of fashion, because it's already in my mind. And the moment that it's in my mind, I'm just like, how long is it gonna take to make it? Because I know already how it's gonna look. So that's the beauty of fashion. It's like you create, you sketch, you already visualize, but you're almost done with it. After, it's all about execution. And that's the beauty of it. And so you go and you jump on another collection. That's who I am, and that's the way that I think many creative directors are. Because when you visualize it, it's already done. There's a lot of pressure because you always need to be creative. But I think that's who we are. When we create, we never miss ideas, because the world is so much, there's so many incredible things that you can sketch and think. I would tell you, I respect designers that say, I just want to create one collection every 2 years. I'm not that person, because I would be really, really bored. This is who I am. But for you, I think, anytime you have an idea, sketch, because this is the beauty. This is our incredible work. It's to actually express ourselves and different messages every day.
Thank you so much. I'll carry that with me.
Hi, I'm Alex. It's lovely to meet you. My question is, would you say that any of the models that you've worked with over the years, or any other creatives, have influenced your work and your creative process, and also your mission in creating a space for diversity within the industry?
Oh, yeah.
And if so, how?
Sorry?
If they have, then how?
Yeah. You mean the models, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you dress someone, whoever is a celebrity, whatever is a model, whoever she is or whoever is, they inspire you. Because they dress in a way that, to talk about what I was saying with sketch, but when someone is wearing it, you're basically like, oh, that's a different attitude. So it starts to inspire you more and more and more. You know, someone that inspired me a lot when it was the moment when the girls coming from Instagram. Like I remember, when I started dressing Kendall in 14 or 15, and I was seeing her in my fashion show, and I was seeing her wearing on social media because she had obviously a big following, or Gigi, you know. I was like, oh, okay, you're dressing like this. Actually, I see you in my show like that, and you're dressing in that way. The day after in the streets, you know. So I was like, okay. And I started to inspire me on my other fashion shows. The same way that I dressed a girl that I love, which was Binks, you know, or when I dressed Naomi on my fashion show. All the people that you dress, they have such a strong charisma that actually when they dress for one show, after they inspire you for the second one. Absolutely, you're completely right.
We got a message that we're going to have to wrap it up soon. So why don't we get just 2 more questions, here and then there.
Hello, my name is Dominic Cosetti, and my question for you is, obviously you've worked with some of the most successful, greatest people in all different fields, like Rihanna, for example. My question for you would be, what quality do you think you all shared that allowed you to make it so far and be so successful and great, even though you're all in different fields?
Incredible question. And I can tell you one thing, I usually don't dress people that I don't like. First of all, let's start from that. There is nothing worse than being in the same room and dressing someone that you don't have the feeling with. I mean, this is the worst. It's happened a couple of times, and don't ask me the names, obviously. I think to dress someone is not only a celebrity, he has to be your friend, he has to be someone that is connected with the house. Someone that is connected with the house means connected with your aesthetic. Someone that is connected with your aesthetic, it means someone that understands you. Someone that understands you means that it could be potentially your friends, right? because it's not creating only clothes, it's creating an attitude, it's creating an aesthetic. So what we share in common, obviously when we talk about Balmain, it's gonna be not being scared, taking risk, not being scared of the critique, fearless, daring, and knowing that it's going to be iconic for some reason.
All right, thank you.
Hi, my name is Manya. I'm a fashion design major, and we design students here at FIT are constantly experimenting and trying to find our creative voice. So my question for you was, how was it for you, the whole trial and error process when you were starting out to find your own creative voice as a designer?
And yes, this is the toughest, your own creative voice. There was this young man that actually asked me kind of the same question, which was like, how I can make it happen? You know, it's again, just listen to yourself. You're unique. And I keep saying that because we all really, really different. And we need to listen to ourselves. I mean, I can tell you like, about myself, for example, what was my creative voice? Many people say, oh, Paris is like so nonchalant and effortless, you know. And I was like, I mean, have you seen Versailles? Have you seen Concorde? Have you seen Le Louvre? This is Paris, my dear, you know. And so that was my own creative voice. I was just like, Versailles is the city of, Paris is the city of lights where it shines. So that was my own voice. When in the moment where Paris was just like, oh, I'm gonna wear my pair of jeans with my incredible Chelsea boots and my biker black jacket, you know. I was like, yeah, this is a Paris, but I mean, I have my own Paris. So I think, you know, this is, again, it's about you. It's just about like, some people say that I was rebel or controversial or whatever, or disruptive. I was not doing that on purpose. I was just like, it was me. And that's the reason why maybe Balmain became really different from other brands in Paris, because it was just different. And it was just me. So your own creative voice is how everything starts. If you don't find your own creative voice, it's not gonna start. And it's not an easy thing. Just so real, like, what I can tell you is that Balmain was a house from 1945. I was into pop culture. I tried to do the mix between those two topics. There was a lot of craft, a lot of glam. But maybe my glamour was more like an armor as well. So that was my creative voice, because everything that I have done was not just easy. And it took time, but it happened for all of us.
Thank you so much.
Please join me.
By the way, I love your questions. Really, bravo. Bravo to you, actually. I want to give you an applause.
Thank you all so much for being here. This is really wonderful. Thank you, Olivier.
Thank you. Thank you to all of you. Thank you.